today. So in this video I want to show you everything that I eat in a week for lunch. To be honest with you guys, lunch became one of my least favorite meals to cook because we all know it, lunch is in the middle of the day, we're usually stuck in some work and we simply don't have the time to cook like a proper meal. I personally prefer doing this in the evening where I have lots of time, but still it's very important to nourish your body with some wholesome food. And that's why I came up with this video idea. So yeah, I just want to show you some quick and easy lunch ideas that are absolutely nourishing, which is important because it fuels your body with some energy, and of course the recipes are all super delicious, which is actually the most important thing. So yeah, without further things to say, let's get into the video. Let's start with a nourishing sweet potato bowl with kale, roasted chickpeas and a tahini dressing. So first I wash the skin of a sweet potato and then cut it in half. I drizzled over some olive oil, salt and pepper, and before I put it in the oven I made sure to lay the flesh downside. And yeah, then I baked it in the oven at 200 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes or until the potatoes are soft. Meanwhile, rinse and drain some chickpeas. They are a great protein source and have a good amount of fiber, which we love. I marinated them in olive oil, paprika, cumin, salt and pepper. And then added them to the sweet potatoes and baked them in the oven as well. Just make sure that they don't bake for too long. I would say that 10 to 15 minutes are ideal, otherwise they become very hard and not so delicious. And I also added half a red onion, which gives the bowl some extra flavor. Then it was time to make my favorite tahini dressing. So I mixed 1 heaped teaspoon of tahini, 1 teaspoon soy sauce, fresh lemon juice, salt, pepper, some water to thin, and then I blended it until I got this smooth consistency. To assemble the bowl, I used fresh kale as my base. Then I peeled the skin of the sweet potato. Of course, you can eat it as well, but I actually don't like it that much. Then I added the red onion, the roasted chickpeas, and finally the tahini dressing. And that's the finished lunch. It's so easy to make and took me approximately 30 minutes. And that's also a great recipe to prepare in advance and take to uni or at work. Let's continue with this not your average avocado toast with tempeh. And tempeh is made of fermented soybeans and through the fermentation process packed full of good bacteria that are beneficial for the intestinal tract. So I cut a third block of chickpea tempeh into cubes and marinated it with soy sauce, coconut aminos, olive oil and black pepper. Then I shaked it in a container until it was evenly coated and let it sit for 15 minutes. If you don't have much time, you can actually cook it straight away too. I also added some cherry tomatoes and quickly marinated them as well. And then I placed both on a baking tray and baked it at 180 degrees for 15 minutes. Meanwhile, I made the avocado mash, so I used 3/4 of an avocado, lime juice and black pepper, and then smashed it with a fork. After that, I toasted 2 slices of sourdough bread to make them even crispier. When everything was ready, I spread the avocado mash on the bread. Then added the tempeh and tomatoes. And finally topped it with some hemp seeds for extra protein and fats and a little bit of chili salt. And this avocado toast just hits different. And actually, just by watching this, I think I'm gonna make that for lunch today. On Wednesday, I made my, let's call it signature bowl. I literally eat this at least once a week, and you can assemble the bowl with everything you've got in your fridge. So this time I made it with some pumpkin. And honestly, is there anyone else who's also always struggling to cut a pumpkin? Because they are so freaking hard. Anyway, I chopped it into little chunks and placed them together with some tofu on a baking tray. I drizzled over some olive oil, salt and pepper, and then baked it in the oven for 15 minutes. And that was actually the most effortful part. Again, to assemble the bowl, you can throw everything together what you've got in your fridge. At this time, I used fresh salad as my base, then added beetroot and some pre-cooked quinoa that I just warmed up. I also added crispy kale, which I simply placed in the oven for 3 to 5 minutes. And finally, I added the tofu and the pumpkin. Oh, and of course I added avocado and hemp seeds for healthy fats. And to complete it all, I topped it with my favorite tahini dressing, which I showed you on Monday. I promise you, you will feel so nourished and packed with lots of energy after this. At lunchtime, I decided to make a barbecue tempeh sandwich. Instead of tempeh, you could also use tofu, but since my tempeh was open from Tuesday's lunch, I simply used it. And this time I cut the tempeh lengthwise into these sticks and then marinated it with some tomato sauce, some soy sauce to make it smoky, black pepper and nutritional yeast. And then I fried it in a pan with some olive oil until it was golden. Whilst it was frying, I already built the sandwich. So on a sourdough, I smashed some avocado, added cherry tomatoes, and then I seasoned it with black pepper and hemp seeds. Then I layered some Cole's lettuce as well as my barbecue tempeh. And on the other half of the bread, I spread vegan cream cheese. And yeah, that's it. So iconic and absolute delish. Lunch is ready, and this is a lentil bolognese from last night's dinner. And yeah, that's something that I generally enjoy doing, like cooking more in the evening to have some leftovers the next day. Yeah, that's also quite helpful when you live alone and you cannot cook like every single meal for one serving. So that's really helpful as well. I mean, it could be worse than eating lentil bolognese for lunch. So good. Alright guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this week's video and that you got some inspiration of what to cook for lunch. Feel free to write in the comments down below what you want to see next, and I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Again, thank you so much for watching and see you the next time. Bye!